Nana Kamado, or the Rowan tree. A tree said to be so difficult to burn that even with 7 times the flames of a furnace, it would not light. Frankly, I think that's an overestimation, thought Roroa, running as fast as he could through the golden wheat field. Unreliable, with a thin body and sword skills that were frankly nothing special. In his 17 years, there was no one thing he could truly say he was proud of, although those who raised him would often say, "Your body will not burn, so set alight your soul, Roroa," the Rowan Bioroid. Running alongside him was one of the people who often told him this, his brother and foster parent Olivia, an olive Bioroid. Bioroids were a race of those who have a plant factor. Their appearance is similar to that of humans, wearing flowers and leaves of their alter ego on their hair or body. Olivia was an olive Bioroid who looked to be in his mid-20s by human standards, with olive leaves curling around his hair, whose weight, height, and physique dwarfed Roroa. A pendant that looked like a ripe black fruit swung across the chest of his worn clothes. He carried a long sword, though it looked like it had never been used in battle. At most, it was used to clear away obstructive undergrowth blocking an animal trail. Then there was his younger brother, Roroa, who would turn 17 this year. His dark green hair, decorated with the leaves and berries of the rowan, and he had a rather pitiful expression on his face. His eyes and nose were clean cut, as was characteristic of his race, but his unconfident atmosphere left a weak impression. He too carried a rapier with a hilt decorated with rowan, but he could not even remember the last time he used it. "So much for what they say. This is definitely going to burn us," yelled Olivia as he ran for his life. Roroa was running out of breath, and his vision was beginning to waver, but his tangled legs could not stop. Why were Roroa and Olivia running for their lives? Well, they were being pursued by Burnerant, a 3-meter-tall giant whose entire body was alit with flames. "You nuisances, nuisances!" shouted the giant, spewing flames, attempting to burn the brothers. However, only the hems of their clothes would be set ablaze. This was nonetheless still a painful sensation. Ouch! Ouch! Hot! Hot! Why was this happening? How did Roroa and Olivia get themselves in this mess? As Roroa did what some would consider a strange dance to put out the flames, his mind would flash back to earlier that morning. As he and Olivia traveled through the Thury district, they happened to overhear a conversation. "There's a burner ant rampaging in the wheat field. Everyone is afraid of it, so no one will go near it. It's good that the field hasn't been destroyed yet, but I wonder when it will be burned down." His brother clenched his fist as his face filled with righteous indignation. "Hey, Olivia?" Roroa had a bad feeling about what would come next, and unfortunately, he was right. "Let's go take down Burner Ant." And so they set out with that goal in mind, but seeing as neither of them were good at fighting, it would not work that way. This had been a reckless idea. After so much running, they approached a deep irrigation canal. Burner Ant was getting closer and closer, Olivia's face twisted in anguish. "If this is it, then it can't be helped. I'll have to use my last resort." Roroa let out a sigh of relief, turning to his older brother, only for Olivia to grab him by the torso and lift him into the air. "Eh?" Without a hint of hesitation, Olivia threw Roroa, not across the canal to safety, but at Burner Ant's head. "Go, Roroa. Headbutt." What? Roroa's stone head was the quintessential piece of Olivia's plan to take down Burner Ant. With a quarterback's level of accuracy, he hit his target and Burner Ant's body fell to the ground. So far, so good. It seemed like most of its brain cells had been called to the heavens, though it would be best to give it the benefit of the doubt. This is where the problem began. "All right," yelled Olivia, proud of his accuracy. "Ouch," whined Roroa, holding his head as he stood. He felt something hit his toes. It was Burner Ant's arm. Out of pure instinct, he kicked it away. Ah! The arm touched the dry and flammable wheat field, instantly setting it ablaze. The fire would be put out several hours later, but their surrounding area would be left torched. Upon returning to Thury, Roroa would bow his head with so much shame that it was set to touch the ground. Thury was a rural area in the westland of Zoo. I'm sorry," said Roroa. "Heave-ho, it's okay, it's okay. It was only a matter of time before it'd be burned away," said Heave-ho Turnip, a turnip dryad who said this in a gentle manner. Dryad were spirits born from plants, with most of them engaging in farm work. They were the cornerstone of food production and were responsible for about 90% of CRAY's food. Roroa would continue to apologize to the wheat store owner as multiple carts filled with vegetables would pass by on the road. "That's what I told him," Roroa sighed at his older brother's remark. Although he was quite brazen, Roroa looked up to him. "How have things been these days? Is it just usual around here? I've heard that it's been pretty tough in Dragon Empire and United Sanctuary. I guess it doesn't matter since they're across the ocean." Heave-ho Turnip would put his hand on his chin as Olivia attempted to make small talk. "Heave-ho, we've been trying to keep things as normal as possible. Though, anxiety is anxiety. But if we don't go on as normal, everyone will go hungry." "Oh, that's true. I hold a great respect for what you guys do. If you have any problems, just let me know, and we'll do whatever we can." "Heave-ho, there are none." Oh. Olivia and Roroa realized that they were not trustworthy in his eyes. "So we'll leave it at that. We're thinking of heading to the next village by the end of today." This is how the two of them lived their lives, traveling from village to village. If someone was in trouble, they would do their best to help, and after the problem was solved, they would go to the next village. And so it went. Honestly, the most of them could not be solved. As Olivia turned to leave and wait, I also run an inn. This must be a chance encounter. You should stay overnight. No, sorry. It won't be as much gold as I lost from the wheat that was burned. So you say. By the way, how much is this day? Heave ho, 1 gold coin per person. That much? 1 gold coin would be 10 days. Or if it were bread, 300... No, never mind. Yeah, the inn is this way. While they were being guided by Heave Ho Turnip, Roa whispered in Olivia's ear, Hey Olivia, 1 gold coin is way over budget. I know. Sell this if something goes wrong. With an expression of anguish, Olivia clutched the pendant on his chest. Heave Ho Turnip, who was walking in front of them, glanced at it. You wouldn't be able to sell a dirty necklace like that. Did you hear us? Heave Ho. Ah, that's right. There has been a problem. Heave Ho Turnip pointed to a huge furrow that led to the outskirts of the village. There have been a lot of strange marks lately. Not only the roads, my wheat and turnips have also been destroyed. What could be doing it? If you find them, punish them. Got it. Leave it to us. Olivia replied with a voice of token cheerfulness, but his eyes carried a sharp light. With an unprecedentedly serious look, Roa called out to him. Olivia? What's wrong? Why such a look? It's nothing. Do many people remember the day they were born into this world? At the very least, Roa remembers it vividly. Yo, kiddo, sleep time is over. A young man's voice, impolite and with no consideration to the other party. The consciousness wrapped like a cradle by thin, large leaves slowly awakened. Of course, the man would not allow a gentle awakening. So wake up, morning, good morning. With those last words, his toes came down, ripping the thin leaf membrane that enveloped the boy. And like that, he was kicked into the outside world. This was the first memory of his life. Bioroids do not have mothers or fathers. They were born wrapped in plants. Standing in front of him was an olive bioroid, a black pendant shining on his chest. The name's Olivia. Olivia? Even though a bioroid was born in a grown-up form, their brain could not keep up with such rapid development. The stranger's bravado was frightening, and he looked around as if to ask for help. Hi. He couldn't help but let out a scream because of the horrible scene spreading around him. Originally, it was a forest with a good view or something, but now, the low-lying vegetation were gray and withered. The trees had lost all their leaves. A sweet rotten smell filled the air, enough to make one feel sick in the stomach. Birds, insects, and anything else that could be called life were dying as far as the eye could see. One could only imagine that they had been overrun by some tremendous force. By the way, had I left you alone, you too would have perished. It's a pity you were born this time. My condolences. What should I do? Do you want help? Help? To this day, he still wondered why he couldn't answer that question by reflex. Was it because he was a newborn and was not yet capable of making decisions? Was it because he was too afraid of Olivia to speak up? Or was it because he did not want to live? Answer. Yes. Okay. However, there is some conditions. You're going to come with me to fill this world with life. Fill? With life? Again, like a powerless parrot, he could hear the words, but could not comprehend what was being said. What's with the look in your eyes? Saving others is great and an outstanding thing. You look as if you think I can't do it. Olivia smiled, puffing out his chest. I'm not trying to be like the famous Blaster Blade. Even if I tried my best, that would be impossible, but still. Olivia grabbed the boy's hand and pulled him forcefully. The boy managed to get up on his 2 feet, almost tripping over himself. A breeze filled with ashes blew past him, caressing his cheek. We too can help others, no matter how small or trivial it might be. The world is wide, ain't that right, partner? Huh? Okay, from now on, your name is Roa, standing back up even if you are burned 7 times. Roa of the Rowan. He could not sleep that night, as the flames of the day flashed through his mind. Glancing to his side, Olivia was sleeping while heartily snoring. Oh, no, can't eat anymore. What a cliche dream. While laughing involuntarily, Roa rose from the bed. As he left the inn while trying not to make a sound, he saw that no one was in the street. The wind was strong, and it made his heart flutter in his chest. Roa hurried down the road to the wheat field. The burnt field was covered with black ash, with no trace of the beautiful golden ears of wheat. Looking at the devastated scene again, Roa was lost for words. Unable to stand still, he knelt to the ground and touched the field with both hands. No matter how bad a bioroid he was still a bioroid. They had the power to bless and nurture plants with magical power. As if in prayer, he gathered all of his power, and his palms became covered in a white, pale light that poured into the earth, but there was no reaction at all. It was when he looked up in despair from the ash-covered field, a young sprout emerged. Soon another, and another, young wheat sprouts, finally. Lush green wheat grew from the entirety of the burned-out field. Yay! However, just before the ears of wheat could appear, something strange happened. They stopped growing and turned black as if it was rotting from the roots. In the blink of an eye, the wheat turned from green to black to white-gray and then withered away. Yes, it was just like the scene of that day. Why? It was at that moment when Roa screamed out, He heard a huge mass dragging itself across the ground, and he heard a voice from nowhere. His feet collapsed under him. It was a repulsive sound that would make you feel as if you were being sucked into the abyss. Unable to speak, he slowly looked behind him. Within the darkness was an unidentifiable unknown. Countless glowing eyes dyed with murderous bright red. The unknown may not have been just one or two things. He could only guess from the sounds of the dragging that it was something long and large. Suddenly the huge ruts he had seen in the village came into Roa's mind. It couldn't be. Was it pursuing him? Why? The unknown spread open its dark red maw and laughed. Huh. His legs trembled, unable to move. His teeth chattered. As a biological instinct, he realized that he stood no chance against it. Unable to run, scream, much less confront it. Oi, oi, Roa. You're the one that told me to go with you when you pee at night. Olivia, I'm lonely and I'm going to cry. The familiar sound of his voice faintly reached out to Roa, but his memory cut off there. The muffled sound of digging through the soil came to the ears of the slumbering Roa. The scent of the ground after the rain, the heavy feeling that deprived his body of freedom. Because of his muddled thoughts, it took him a while to realize that he was apparently in the ground. Somehow he managed to wriggle around, and he could feel the soil on his limbs moving. With another sound, the feeling of the earth on his face disappeared. Suddenly a flash of light shone through Roa's eyelids. Peering at Roa from above the hole dug into the ground was a girl holding a lantern and a shovel. From appearances, she seemed to be the same age as Roa, and was probably a human. Her hair tied up high and her strong-willed gaze were impactful. Using all his might, Roa somehow managed to raise his upper body from the ground. He stretched out his dirt-covered fingertips towards the girl. You are... Here is... If there was a problem with the manner in which he acted, it was probably the fact that his whole body was covered in dirt. He looked like an eerie zombie in the darkness of the night. Ugh. The girl's fire-red eyes watched in astonishment. She tried to swallow her screams. She was not able to swallow them. The girl swung her shovel. Of course, she swung it at Roa. Wait a minute. His words were too late, and with a particularly dull-sounding echo, the cutting edge pierced through Roa's shoulder. As a result, Roa's left arm fell off and onto the ground. The screams of the now soundless girl resounded throughout. It went without saying that it took time for them to regain their composure. Bad, eh? I said my bad, but you wouldn't normally expect to find a person buried in the ground. Are you one of those races, or is it a hobby? The girl clenched her fist, a stern look upon her face. I don't think it's a hobby. I don't even know why I was buried. In Roa's right hand was his torn off left arm. Strangely enough, there was no pain. His left arm was shriveled like a dry radish and seemed to have little function from the beginning. The cross-section of his shoulder also resembled a shriveled vegetable. His clothes were also in tatters, like they would fall apart at any moment. Roa, who was dug up safely after the previous madness, could finally see where he was. They were at the base of a huge tree. Its roots had risen above the ground and were spreading out, and the trunk was so thick that it was hard to tell at a glance how far it stretched into the sky. Was winter coming, or was it just an old tree? As he looked up, he could see that the tree was partially covered with dead leaves, which scattered as the wind blew. Surrounding the huge tree was a stone brick building. As it was late in the night, no one else could be seen with a flickering torch. Apparently, he had been buried underneath these roots, but without an idea why. When he tried to remember what happened before he lost consciousness, his head would hurt, unclear as if covered in mist. The last thing was... That's right, he ate dinner as usual and fell asleep. Then, where was Olivia? He squinted his eyes, trying to pull together the threads of his memories from them. Pia. A small dragon jumped out from behind the girl. It had fur the same color as the fire-red colored clothes she wore, with two magnificent horns. A small flame was burning at the end of his tail. The girl looked at Roa as she rubbed her cheek against the dragon. This child is Momoke, a proud Narukami dragon, and I'm Ratty, the Drag Ritter. Drag Ritters were knights of the Dragon Empire who fought alongside dragons. They were also known as Dragon Knights, with Nehalem and many others having made a name for themselves. However, a Drag Ritter fought while riding a dragon. To think there were dragons this small. How cute. Cute? When the girl's voice suddenly dropped, he realized that he had stepped on a landmine and hastily changed the topic. Ah, that's right. I'm Roa. I see. Why were you buried in such a place? That's what I'd like to know. You must be a very active sleepwalker, infiltrating the sacred grounds and burying yourself in the ground. Sacred grounds? Where are we? Here, right under a world tree. Indeed, it seemed that this big tree was a world tree. World trees were trees with strong magical power that existed in many places on the planet CRAY. Under its influence, the surrounding trees grow plentiful, and the animals live freely. Cities often flourished at the foot of a world tree, and priests existed to protect them. In his troubles with Olivia, he had seen many world trees from a distance, but this was the first time he got this close. Did he get transported through time and space without realizing? If so, he needed to get back to Olivia as soon as possible. What part of the Zoo continent is this? East? No, perhaps the west? Zoo? Radalina burst into laughter. What kind of joke is that? This is Stoicheia, Western Stoicheia. Thuri. Stoicheia? Huh? He parroted back the strange word. Radalina nodded. I mean, Zoo has been gone for 3,000 years. Are you still asleep? Yeah? Radalina nodded vigorously. Please wait, for it to be like that. 3,000 years was too big a number to be realistic. Furthermore, for a nation as large as Zoo to have disappeared was ridiculous, even as a joke. Just as he was about to grab her by the shoulders and question her, they heard a sharp voice from the stone brick building. Who's there? Looking over, he saw a group of Bioroids with torches in their hands coming towards them. It was a sacred area. They must have been guarding it. Tch. With a noisy click of her tongue, Radalina violently grabbed something and threw it. With great control and a strong arm, it knocked down one of the guards. However, the thing that was thrown was my arm. Let's go, Momoke. Pia. Throwing down her shovel and lantern, she ran away from the guards. When Roa followed after her, she gave him a blatantly disgusted look. Why are you following me? Ah, because it feels like they're really angry. That's right. I knew it. At the same time as when Roa was about to shout, he heard noisy voices saying, There they are. Don't let them get away. He was almost at a state of tears, but he would not cry. And so, the world of 3,000 years later, without any reasoning why, without a chance for rebuttal, raised its curtains. What was the unknown being? Is this the same unknown being that consumed Chronos Command? Did it follow it through time? Let's find out the answers we seek in the CRAY Cross Epic.